Welcome to the channel, Scott's Garage HTX. Don't forget the HTX, brand new bike with the full titanium Akrapovic exhaust added onto it. Let's just jump right into the geeky stuff and find out about this exhaust. Let's go. I'm working with V1 Moto up here in Houston, Texas, and I just purchased this bike. I'll go through the finances of what I did versus the BMW and this bike at a later date. We can cover that later. But I wanted to see, like I usually do, the difference in the stock exhaust and the full titanium exhaust that are in this box. Well, here, and this is the carbon fiber cover that goes with it. In order for to do this, we kind of got to do a couple things. First, when you start this bike in neutral, the exhaust ports are closed. If you want to get the full stock exhaust sound, you really need to put it in gear, of course the clutch in, and once it's in gear, the exhaust ports light up, and we can get a reading from the decimeter that's over here. And we'll get that, and then we'll do also the other geeky stuff. We'll weigh this exhaust, and then we'll weigh the exhaust that comes off. I will say this, that's kind of just a routine, but the Akrapovic website that has out there, they're very accurate. I've done this twice, and each time the exhaust weighing differences between the two that they established on their website is spot on. So, you know, there are power increases that come from this, but I'm not going to put this on a dyno. I really do believe they have their stuff right, but I like to geek out and do some of this stuff. So we'll get started on that. I just need to get some things set up. So, first gear, 5,000 RPM. Hear that difference? That's neutral. This is first gear. Very different. Okay, now we will weigh this exhaust, and we have to wait before all the stuff comes off before we can weigh that and test that sound compared to what the stock was. Good to go. Oh, really? You got it? Yep. So rear fender and front fender. And carbon. Yep. And carbon. You sure? I'll go ahead and add. This thing's going to be sick, man. Oh, yeah. So cool.
And you already have Olin's coming in? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah. It's be pretty sweet. It's pretty, I'd say, not one of a kind, but you know.
I love how much little things you can do to the Ducati. Like you can change the wheel nuts, or the locking nuts. You can change the pins. You can change the carrier for the sprocket.
Yeah, well, look at his bike. What he's done with the Prody bolts. I think those are Prody.
You can do the clear clutch cover if you wanted to. You could do so much.
So, all right.
But I can just take care of that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, have you heard that? Also, I think the front fender's kind of bland in that plastic. And also, for this titanium exhaust, you have to replace, the titanium exhaust comes with, well, what I showed you here is this little chain guard. But it does come with a fender, and if you use that fender, supposedly the titanium exhaust will melt that fender. So the titanium exhaust comes with a little scoop in it that gets it away from the carbon fiber fender, has a little scoop in it, and it will clear that titanium exhaust. Let's see where we're at as far as weight. Hold, please, 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 please hold, please, please hold. Okay, it's holding, and well, 1984.84. Pretty sweet, eh? See that cutout I was talking about right there? That allows for that titanium exhaust. Let's weigh this to see what this is. And just for, you know, grins, we'll weigh the other one when we get it off. Yeah, that's pretty light, 0.4. And that is 0.48. And one last thing, fulcrum tail tidy. I'll clean that back end up too, as you can see. Wham! Through the magic of video, we have the Akrapovic exhaust, full titanium exhaust on the bike. Now, I know the conditions are not the same as when I tested it before. We were in a building, but I tried to recreate them as best I could. The ceilings were 20 foot tall on that building, so I don't think the ceiling is going to be much of an issue, but we did have a wall over here that could have bounced back some of the sound. So I did close the garage door here. Hopefully we can recreate it best we can. Let's just start it up and see the difference between the two exhausts, at least when the sound. Now I warmed this up, okay, because I wanted to let you hear the difference between when it sounds like in neutral and what it sounds like in gear, and then we'll rev it up to 5,000 RPMs. I would say when in a cold startup on this, it's about 83 decibels from where the decimal meter is. Not much change. So I don't know if the tuning on this changes the difference between neutral and first gear or not. It was weird. I put about, what, about 90 miles on it the other day, and I could hear some changes, especially when I came to stop signs and put it in neutral, but right now I can't. Try one more time. Neutral. I got no difference. So let's just rev it up to 5,000 RPMs. I'm hoping to get a little bit better lighting from this angle without being into the shadows, and I think this is a better presentation of the exhaust on this side of the bike. You tell me what you think. We'll get some close-ups on the GoPro and such like that, but now it's time to weigh what we took off the bike, and I'm telling you, it's considerably heavier. I put some reinforcement tape around that hole on the box, and I'm not really sure it's going to hold, but or if I can hold it, pick it up and keep it steady at the same time. So we're zeroed out, and put this on, and let's see. Please hold, please hold, please hold. Okay, I've got, I'm hoping you pick this up. What is that? 3268. Okay, so yeah, I had to go back and look at the previous video on what the original exhaust, or the titanium exhaust, excuse me, was. I think it was 1984 when I went back and looked at the video. So that minus 3268 is roughly 13 pounds. Keep in mind we did have some packaging in there. 1284 to be exact. So that's pretty close to what they have advertised on the Akrapovic's site, as far as when you look at the differences and all the data that they have on that. Another thing that we had done was we put on a Prody tail tidy on that, and that's pretty light. I mean, that thing hardly weighs anything at all. So what does that take off? If I were to look at that, almost, well, if I don't move it around a bunch, 2.2 pounds, somewhere around there. That's not bad. We took off about 15 pounds off this bike. I have put on some miles on this bike, and I can give you my first impressions of it, but I'm sure there's tons of reviews out there that people do on, YouTube, and I've got my opinions on that, but whatever. My initial review, basically, are thoughts. The seat is comfortable. The riding position is comfortable for me. The bike is stinky fast. I mean, it's 220 horsepower with this exhaust and tune on it, and another 6% in torque. and you're reducing weight by 13 pounds just with this exhaust unit itself. But I haven't taken the bike over 6,000 RPMs. Well, I did a little bit, but the break-in period on this bike is 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles. And yeah, and yes, I actually try to follow the break-in periods of these bikes so they last longer, and I don't have any issues. At any rate, I haven't been above 6,000 RPMs. Well, I hit 8 there for a while. What I noticed was the book said 6,000 RPMs, but the bike says 8,000 RPMs. It gives you a warning when you hit 8,000 miles, or 8,000, sorry, RPMs. It gives you a little warning on the tachometer. I don't know if that goes away with the time, or when you hit that mileage, or it goes away with the first service. I'm betting it goes away with the first service, but I'll let you know. The other thing, the handling is atrocious. Okay, so the suspension is atrocious. Maybe not the handling, the suspension is atrocious. For me, I'm not blaming the bike for that whatsoever. I see, and this is my thing about bike reviews, I see people give bike reviews and they're well over 200 pounds, right? And they're giving a bike review that I don't think is tuned for them. At least I don't think it is. So I don't know how they can really give a good review, but you know what? That's their business. My review and my initial thoughts on this is the suspension is crap. And that's not really, the suspension for the bike is crap. It's just not set up for me, right? And I'm going to hold true to what I said in my previous videos. Buy a base model bike and tune the bike to you. So I know of some things that I don't even think has been announced to the US market, but there are some things that Öhlins has done for the Ducati market, and it's a kind of a limited quantity. We'll get more into that, but I have a solution for that. Again, don't blame the bike. It's just not tuned for me. And it was, I'll give you an example for one thing. I hit a bump more than 2 inches tall, and like an abrupt bump, and the whole bike just vibrates from front to rear as you go over that bump. It just shitters. And that's, again, it's the suspension. The other thing is it'll oscillate on me through certain circumstances, and it's, you know, it's tunable. We'll fix it. We'll get to it. But as I was going around one turn, and it wasn't a really tight turn, but right before the apex was a swell in the concrete, okay, about 2-3 inches, just this little swell. And I mean, it's Texas roads, right? So as I went into the swell, of course, I understand physics. The front end went down, right? And as I going into the turn, I have a little bit of a lean angle. And as the front of the bike starts to rise up on the swell, the front of the bike wanted to go to the left. At the same time, in the distance of the swell was at the rear. So now the back of the bike is coming down into that little swell, and the back of the bike wants to go this way, right? So then I get on top of the swell, or through the swell on the front of the bike, and the handlebars want to switch over to this side, while the back of the bike wants to kick back to this side. So the bike would oscillate through that turn as I'm doing through the lean angle. It's all correctable. We'll get to it. It just might take a couple months before I can get my hands on. I've already got the order in, and we'll get to it. I just can't really disclose it right now, but we will get that fixed. You guys keep on keeping on. We'll catch you next time.